G'day guys, how you doing? Welcome to another day of trading. It is, Tuesday the 21st of May. How did we get here? I don't know. Only half the year gone already. Amazing. Guys, only me with you today. It's Geoff, of course. Ash will be, I don't know if he's in the air or waiting for a plane or halfway home or what he's doing. I really don't know. He was in Singapore for the last couple of weeks or a week or so anyway, and now winging his way back. So he won't be with us today, and therefore no FTSE coverage. That, of course, will be back tomorrow when Ash is home again. And I'm going to be looking at, well, first I'll start with the Aussie, I suppose. I'm going to look at the Aussie, the euro, and the pound versus the dollar. Might have a look at a couple of the other Aussie crosses as well, as I did in the TTR morning session with the slingshot this morning. And talking to the guys in there, and my analysis was that the Aussie dollar, and I think I mentioned this yesterday in this show, so I won't dwell on it, but the Aussie dollar, ever since the election, which has just been conducted, of course, over the weekend, was announced, it was considered to be almost a fait accompli that the Australian Labor Party would take office from the incumbent government, which of course was the Liberal Party or Conservative Party in if you're in the other half of the world. And the market, not solely, of course, but the market had sold off ever since that, and it coincided roughly with that time frame. So my contention this morning was, where do we, now that we've actually nothing's changed and we do have a Liberal government, where do we then say, okay, a lot of this, or which part of this was in fact to do with the supposed change of government? And I really couldn't say. So I drew a line at 70 and the figure. And again, I think we spoke about this yesterday. And I consider that to be a reasonable place to be looking for shorts, which of course, we're very much entitled to be doing, given the poor employment figures of last week, and that those employment figures, be very much a determining factor in whether the RBA in 2 weeks' time say, well, okay, it's time for a rate cut. So that's the kind of dilemma that's facing us at present is, okay, the election went the wrong way, but we priced in the right way, if you like. And now where exactly do we stand in terms of what was priced in and what needs to be raised in terms of that price being traded? So my analysis this morning was, pardon me, that this is where I would like to look for a short. At the very same time, I said and we didn't have this bar at that time, I said if the current bar or upcoming bar was to be bullish and decisive and came back and engulfed pretty much these candles here, thereby taking out any shorts, if you like, any short orders that were based on this candle or even this candle, by taking out the stops here, that would be a very, very interesting place. And there would be a short to be had underneath that candle. That's exactly how it turned out. The interesting and probably sad part was that was also around the release of the RBA minutes from the meeting a couple of weeks ago. So that became a dangerous position to take. My hope is that those of you who are in this morning's show have actually taken that trade and indeed taken profit at this point in time. Now, I'm not saying that this is still going to here, but it's still in the back of my mind. There's no question there. And I haven't really given up on this, despite the fact that we are under incredibly fundamental pressure, or the Aussie dollar is under incredible fundamental pressure. So what would change? Well, look, I'm absolutely bearish the cross, but I still have it in the back of my head that we've priced in a Labor government and we didn't get one. So I'm still seeing a rally here at some point to erase that that pricing structure. How and when? Look, trading, that's extremely tough, of course. We have to wait for a genuine reversal pattern now. It's very much a case of this could fall and fall, continue just to go south. And I don't know that there'd be too many people surprised at that. I would have to wait for, a signal that says double bottom or inverted head and shoulders or rising star, morning star, call them what you want. I'd have to see something like that to get me interested in trading this long right now. It is, of course, if you have a look at this 4-hour chart, we're sitting on a very nice slingshot scenario where we've had an approach of the, not that this is a trade line by any stretch, but this one here is. We've had a break, if you like, a retest and re-break of this trade line, and a retest, a further pullback away from it. So if there is to be a rally, it's tempting to think that this, if it's to be a neckline, maybe it's going to be a neckline. If we get price action over here, of course, it will become a neckline. But really, to place an order here long is just not on the cards for me right now. So I'm not going to do that. What I am going to do is wait for, if a double bottom forms, then I'll wait for price action, not so much on this line anymore because it's now been broken too many times and it needs to go. But that will kind of move over to here, one would suspect, or maybe even this line here. And if that's the case, then we may well see some interaction over here. Maybe we get a double bottom, maybe we get a higher low in this area. And it's at that point I'll be willing to trade this up to here. It's a tough call, as I say. It's very much under pressure, this cross, and it wouldn't surprise anybody to see this completely tumble out of the sky here, myself included. Wouldn't surprise me. I'm hoping that won't be the case, and I do get the opportunity to trade this counter trend. But we shall see. Let's turn our attention to the euro, and similar to the Aussie, it has now broken through a support level. Not yet a lower low based on that low, but gee whiz, it looks like it wants to attack it, one would have to say. I think I'm going to get rid of this one. That doesn't seem to be in vogue anymore because we've now smashed through this this latest support trend line. Look, it'd be probably a surprise if we didn't see price get down to here and test this level. But if we don't, then probably something else is going on, and that something else may well be a higher low here, again, based on this low, not based on these lows. If that were to be the case and we got price back above this trend line, which is now broken, well, there's no close below it, to be fair, on the 4-hour chart, and we got a higher low in this vicinity, I'd be willing to take this long. If I look at the bigger picture, do I have a right to do that? Or do I have any semblance of sensibility about looking for a long here? Oh, yeah, for sure. Look, we are at a horizontal level. It's been support, it's been resistance. It's got further history back there. It's been support here again. And currently it is holding as support. It is the one, 1130. I can't even read it because it's a very dreadful color. It's around about 111.35, I think, from memory. That level, and if we go through there, then different story. But at this point in time, we're still holding there. Although this bar this week so far, with 1.5 days ticked over, is looking particularly bearish, one would have to concede. But it's in this area that, of course, we'll be looking to turn around. And as I say, if this this level here holds, then I'll be looking for a false break of this trend line. So that's kind of what I've got in my mind for the euro at the moment. If this low goes, then all bets are off, of course, and we'll have to reassess and wait to see what happens. And if it does, then you could be excused for thinking that we're headed to this level here, which is around about, let's say minimum 111. Could get down to 110.50, something of that order by the time we got down to the bottom of this channel again. I'm not holding that that theory until we get below this low here. So let's just wait and see what happens in the next few hours. And if we get the indication that we can go long here, then happy days. We shall so do. But it won't be easy, as I say. You need to wait again for... I'll just spread this out again. I'll need to wait for a strong sign that this is about to go. I've already got the reversal situation. I've got the double bottom. I've got the higher low here. I really just need to see a false break present, and if it does, then happy days. Away we shall go and trade the euro long. Why am I talking long everything? It just doesn't make sense with the momentum and the fundamentals at the moment. But, there it is. That's the way it is. And eventually we've got to turn the corner here. And hopefully we'll get the signals that is about to happen, if and when. Cable. I don't know anybody who's got a good thing to say about cable at the moment, which is really unusual, given that, I don't know, it's not so long ago where we were continuing to say, the pound's cheap, 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 the pound's cheap. That's been, the big word for quite some time now. And I don't know that anything's really changed. We had a bit of a rally, and now we've come back to this 127 mark. The interesting part here for me is that it's a pretty strong support level. If you look at this level here, this level here, this level here, this level here, and here, it's been pretty strong support and resistance for a long period of time. Going back to 2016, I wonder if I go back even further, we won't, because really we haven't seen these levels for many a moon. In fact, how big a moon? That's probably as much data as I can get on this chart. It is. So according to this chart, which of course is not all encompassing, we haven't been here too much before at all. That, of course, is something that needs to be considered as well. Also to be considered, apart from, that horizontal level that I've just pointed out to you, let's get back to something a little more recent. This is the daily. We are a little bit away from this trend line, which is the one concern for me if I was to consider going long here. And anything that you would consider, or that I would consider going long, would be as a bounce, not as a reversal at this point in time. So I wouldn't want to be trading this at a big risk until there's something of a channel that establishes, so I can trade it from top to bottom, or a range so I can trade it from top to bottom. Something that gives me something to trade off rather than just guessing. And that's pretty much the situation I've been in for the last 2 weeks. It's been guessing because everything is just going in one direction without consolidating or retracing to any large degree. And when that's the case, great for trend traders, but not so great for my strategy. So I've been a little bit on the sidelines, and that's okay. It will all change, as it always does. The one thing, the other thing that I'm seeing here is the potential for this to be a right shoulder. You can see a very clear left shoulder here, very clear head here. Perhaps we get a right shoulder forming here as well. As I say, the one thing that does concern me is this trend line, which looks like it wants to be tested or tested again. So does 127 hold up? Do we look for a retracement here or a bounce here? The answer for me is yes, we do. But again, you need to have a good reason for that. Well, sorry, I shouldn't say you. You can do what you want. I need to have a good reason for that. And that reason, at the very least, becomes a reversal pattern of some kind on a time frame. Daily, nothing. 4 hour. If it's going to reshape, yep. 4 hour, look, there was a hint of a double bottom there. That looks to be under pressure at the moment. If this were to retrace, I'd still call that a bit basy. Then I'd be looking for a higher low here and then look to trade it. But before that, it's only guesswork, and I certainly wouldn't be just saying, okay, here's a falling knife. Let's grab hold of it with both hands. That hurts. So I'll be waiting for that to occur, and that will be the case with pretty much all of these crosses that I've just mentioned. As the dollar continues to strengthen against these majors, it becomes a very, very difficult task to be confident about trading a direction until you get those signals that I've just mentioned. So for the Aussie, I think that's probably the first one that will give us, well, maybe the euro will first, but if we break through here, then again, I'll be waiting a little bit longer. The euro is going to be the first one, I think, that gives us a signal. And if that's as a false break of this area here, then fantastic. We'll look to trade that long. The pound's a little way off yet. Now, Aussie yen, similar to the Aussie trade that was on offer this morning for the short. This was looking kind of okay and just not okay enough for me to want to trade it. I think the Aussie versus the dollar was a far better trade short than was this one at the time. Now, I don't say in medium term that will be the case because I'm quite bearish this cross as well. But I said, as I said this morning, very, very tough for me to go short here until we get probably this level here. So I'm looking for price to get it back up to here, find the resistance area. It may not even be strong enough there, but that's what I'll be looking for. And again, you can see the hint of, I'm on a 4-hourly chart. If you go to the daily, you can see the hint of a left shoulder head and potential right shoulder there as well. Potential doesn't mean it's going there, of course. It's very much a case of wait and see. And as always, that's what I'll be looking to do. But it does look a nice little place for a bounce long, not substantially, as I say. It's just a mini move, if you like. If it is going to reverse, then we want to see something a little better than, well, not what I'm talking about, but break here, retest the neckline, which that would become. Then we could have a W bottoming pattern or something like that. That would all be all great. But you've got to remember that the Aussie is still under extreme pressure and could go short at any time. It goes back to what I said in the first instance. We were expecting a Labor government. We didn't get one. And for that reason, this cross can rally. And I wouldn't be surprised if it does. And I'll be looking for the short if it does. Exactly the same on Aussie CAD. This was another one I said this morning. Once I'm desperate to get short, but I'm keen to get short. But I need to have the right scenario. And once again, we haven't got the right scenario yet. It's very much a common theme where I need price to go to the resistance level that I can see. And really, I don't see the resistance level other than the weekly pivot today, which was, of course, now an obvious place to get into the market, if you like. That might be the case, and it would be the case often, but unless it coincides with something that I can grab hold of in terms of a strategy, then the answer is no for me. And I still see, potential for this to be a double bottom. And again, I'll be looking for that to occur, then a higher low, and then look to trade it as a retracement until, of course, we get the sign that it's a reversal, which would be neckline break, retest, and away we go. But, you know, there's nothing on the horizon to suggest that that will be the case. In fact, quite the reverse. If you look at the RBA's minutes from their meeting 2 weeks ago, which were released today, that was the news that drove this down, by the way, drove the Aussie pairs down. If you look at that statement or that those minutes, you will see that they are not certain to cut interest rate next week. There was a little bit of a caveat in those minutes, but very much on the cards that we will see an interest rate cut on the Aussie in 2 weeks' time. Not certain, as I said. There was a caveat in there, but certainly they weren't closing the door on it. I'd put it that way. So let's leave the Aussie pairs alone, shall we? The only other two I've had there, and Aussie Kiwi, man, that's just been haunting me. I did find a way in there on Friday or Thursday evening late for Aussie Kiwi long, but I only got a TP1 out of it. And I think I traded this bar here, actually. I'm not 100% sure on this chart. That was the daily. I traded on hourly chart, I think, from memory, but I didn't get much out of it. Monday or Thursday. No, can't remember. It was like I got 10 pips out of it, and then it went the other way, so it's not even worth talking about. Euro CAD. Yeah, look, the CAD's showing a bit of strength, and that won't be hurt by what the news was yesterday, which was that Trump again, it's all about Trump, isn't it? That Trump had removed tariffs on steel and aluminium out of Canada, and I think it was Mexico. So that's good news for the Canadian dollar. We're seeing that in Euro CAD, certainly. As the euro weakens, the CADs remains strong-ish, I suppose, is the word for that. And, you know, really, I don't have much else. I've been waiting to get short euro pound again. Gee whiz, I'm patient. Look, it just keeps going. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. This is the 12th day of euro pound rising. Does that mean now that we're at a resistance level that I can see is okay? And it's only okay. It's not the strongest level. I don't even know why I've got that on the chart. Must be on a weekly or something. Yeah, okay. Well, I can see now it's been resistance, been support for a long time through this area here. And yeah, resistance here. We're at resistance again. So I can get why I've got that line on the chart. And if you're a crystal ball gazer, then you'll probably be thinking, okay, this is going to have to bounce off here. Well, unfortunately, there's no such thing as have to. And for that reason, I can't just say, okay, we've reached that resistance level. We've been going long for, what does it say, 11 days or 12 days. Now is not the time. It'd be gorgeous if we could actually pick it up and it finishes up down here, but no reason to do so apart from the fact that we're at a resistance level. So what? We're at a resistance level here. We're at a resistance level here. That didn't stop it. That didn't stop it. Why do we think now that this one will? We need something more than that. We need a confluence, or we need a reversal pattern, or we need something to suggest that this is indeed the place where we're going to retrace. If I'm, as I said, gazing into the crystal ball, I think, yes, it is, but it's not enough to trade it, unfortunately. That, of course, being the weekly chart. Don't often trade on the weekly chart, but there are times where I shall. I'd like to be thinking that I don't need to go to the weekly chart most often, because I'd like to find something a little bit more exciting than watching the weekly chart, to be fair. So no trade here, but yes, on watch for sure. If it does look like reversing or gives me a signal that it's going to retrace, then I'll be looking at it. That won't probably come on the daily for a few days, but it may come on the 4 hour. You can see the rallies and the, well, slight retracements that we've had, I suppose. Getting smaller, those retracements, but so too are the rallies. So it's starting to slow down. You can see that is the case. Double top here, lower high, kind of gets me interesting down to the weekly pivot, but that would be about it. And it will happen, as they say, but it's not happening right now. The Kiwi, again, another currency that's under pressure against the US dollar, given that they did cut interest rates 2 weeks ago. If you were bearish this at all, then you've probably missed the opportunity to get into it today. There probably was one if you wanted to play this little candle here or this little candle here on the 4 hour chart. Kind of not my game, but it would have paid off handsomely and looks very much like that's headed for further downside, getting very close to the 65-cent mark as we speak. I think I only want to look at one more, guys, and that is dollar yen. Dollar yen is kind of confusing to me in many ways. If I have a look at this, the daily chart, pardon my dog, we got a very big flash point down to the 104.70 level there around Christmas time. And of course, that lasted about 5 seconds. But since then, we've been higher highs, higher lows, higher highs, higher lows until here, where we did have an extreme retracement, then higher highs and lows again. Now another extreme retracement, more extreme than this one. The question, I suppose, is where are we headed next? And if I put that line in right there-ish, we can see that that's been a strong support level, strong resistance level over time, and that's kind of where we're at right now. Is this the bounce point is the question. Look, I really don't know, because this cross has been confusing me for a little bit of time now. When we're in this this big range up here only a few weeks ago, I thought that this was going to be a wonderful thing to trade for a while, and look for the short up here, but it just kept meandering and meandering, did absolutely nothing at all until finally it broke through, and then we gapped, and then away we go. No way to get in there for me, sadly, but maybe this is the opportunity to get short. As I say, I'm not 100% committed to it. When I get to this point, if I pull a fibbo, I'm in two thoughts. And what I see here, of course, is the first fib retracement level the second really, of 38.2 on this move. Is it ready to go? Well, it is another resistance level. There's no question about that. We're at that red line that I just pointed out to you. So is this the time to go? It's probably a good thought, I'd have to say. All I need is some form of signal to say, yes, this is a good idea. And therefore, I'm looking for a false break of this level here. So this 4-hour trend line / trade line, if it were to break and give me something maybe at this level, that looks like a pretty cool level of confluence. So break the trend line or trade line, get above it, maybe even test the top of the range again, then consolidate for a little bit, come back below all of that noise, retest it, then I can go short. But at the moment, what I do see is a bounce off the top of the range, yes, but I also see a bounce off yesterday's daily pivot, which is gaining momentum up until we've hit this trend line, of course. Is this the point to go short? Becomes a question mark also. Oh, not easy. Not easy. Let me go when you can make a case for both, it's generally a good idea to wait. So we've got about let's say we put our stop here around about 20, say 23 pips. We've got support level dead ahead, which is the daily pivot. Look what the daily pivot did yesterday. I don't think I want to take that short right now. So I'm going to wait, and I'm going to wait until we get up to here, get back below and retest, maybe even take the daily pivot out then. But the daily pivot won't be there by the time all this happens on the 4-hour chart. That's like a day away that I'm talking. And maybe by Thursday, I can look for an entry, or maybe Wednesday, tomorrow evening, maybe I can look for an entry at that point. But at this point in time, this is a little bit of guesswork. From a slingshot point of view, we've actually got a setup here to go long, but we've also got an untested daily pivot here. So like I say, I can make a case for both ways here. In fact, the case for the long, with a risk of, let's say we're there. Yeah, I know, maybe you put your stop under there. 26 pips. And, even if it makes a new high, you've still got resistance at this level, which is only 14 pips away. So your reward is very poor on that particular scenario. Maybe the short's on, maybe it's not. Am I putting too much emphasis on the daily pivot? I don't think so. As I say, we saw what had happened, what it did yesterday, and we know what the daily pivot can do. It can just repel price like that. It's pretty good at doing that. So I'm of the opinion that waiting here is the right decision, and I shall do so. So really, that's where I'm at, guys. Just hanging in there again. It's very much a case of boredom, but until I see what I need to see, I think the best course of action is to do absolutely nothing. So with Ash not here, so no footsie commentary, and really no chance of me getting in the market anytime soon. Well, I'll just check the 30-minute charts before I make that sweeping statement. I don't trade the first candle, so there's nothing there I can trade at the moment on the 30-minute. That is the Aussie. On the euro, yeah, looks that's getting reasonable, except that I don't really have a reversal situation on the 30-minute chart. If I go wide enough, I can probably make a case for it, but really this is a lower low, is it not? Yeah, hammer look. It's got a hammer look about it. And if this candle were to hold, or maybe even get back above here, then we get a retest. I'd be gambling that retest is indeed going to be the higher low, which we need to see if we're to trade that as a hammer or a reversal bar. So, you can take high risk trades any day of the week, and if that were to be the case, so if price got back above here now, even in the next 2 or 3 bars, and then put in a decisive bear bar, again, we'd be gambling that is the higher low. But along above that bear bar, if it were to form, wouldn't be such a bad idea at a very small risk, as long as you're prepared to take profit before the daily pivot. That would be my counsel. Cable, gee whiz, if you want to trade this long at the moment, you've really got to have a good reason, and I don't. It just looks to be falling away at present. Again, putting in new lows. The Aussie yen, same. I don't even have any lines here to trade from. So when I haven't got confluence, I haven't got confidence. And if that's the case, I don't trade. Same. Aussie CAD, you can see the picture, guys. It's very much the same thing. And until I get a clear picture, there is no point in trading. That said, if you've got a question that you would like to ask, I'll be here for another couple of minutes. Otherwise, I'm going to call it quits and think about doing something else this evening, to be fair, at least until I get those, potential scenarios. I'll keep my eye on the chart. There's a bit of a tweezer bottom form there now, as you can see. A higher low there makes a difference. Maybe this is a double bottom, even if you want to call it that. So again, a higher low makes a difference. So it may not be impossible to find these setups later, but gee, they're going to be counter momentum, they're going to be counter trend, and they're going to be extremely dangerous. So, to my mind, just wait till the setup is absolutely spot on before you take it, and then take it at small risk. So again, guys, I'm not going to hang around too long. I notice there's another person just joined. Thought process for that person who I don't know who it is. I can't go short at the moment, guys. We've missed the short for today. If you're in this morning's show on TTR Slingshot, you should have picked that up, that short, given the description that I gave. And hopefully that is the case, and you're free trading this at the moment because you should have taken profit at DS1 or at least yesterday's daily pivot, and therefore you'd be free trading that right now. But apart from that, I don't see anything else in the near term. I'm actually thinking Aussie up to here, then look for a short. And I was thinking that this morning as well, but that setup came and exactly as I described it. So it was a tradable scenario. Hopefully you did. But everything else, I'm really waiting on retracements or consolidation or something that can give me a clear indicator that the market is going to bounce off something and it's at a confluence area or whatever the case may be. So until that happens, I'm pretty much on the sidelines, guys. And that is me for the day, I think. Unless there are any questions, I am a done deal. And it doesn't look like there are any questions. Nope. Okay, guys, thank you for being here, the couple that were. And Ash back tomorrow. We'll be back. Cheers, Ali. We'll be back tomorrow at what time? 2:30 Singapore, and 4:30 Australian Eastern Standard Time. And I think that's around about 7:30 in the UK. So if you can be with us, please do. Otherwise, we will catch up with you very, very soon. Bye-bye for now.